All right. So, welcome back, you guys. Top of the morning. If you are joining us on the West Coast, it's 9 a.m. Shout out to my East Coast people. So today, we got a great topic, how to acquire business funding. So this is a topic a lot of businesses struggle with. So I decided to come up with, I have a quick reference guide, and then I'll be going through this guide just to let you guys know what exactly are some of the steps to acquire any business credit. So, how you doing, Rach?
I am doing well. We have a fresh snowfall. It just started really snowing again. So beautiful Vancouver, Canada. Enjoying the weather.
Yeah. And you've been
Yes.
driving in the snow, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. So one of the days I was a little hesitant. I haven't been in snow in probably over a decade. So I was a little hesitant. I see why California people drive the way they do in the rain. But now the roads are pretty wet, and once the salt is on the roads, once the snow hits it, it just dissolves. So the trees, the buildings, the cars, they're full of snow, but the roads are decent enough for me to drive. So
Nice.
I'm excited for today's topic.
All right, so let's go ahead and hop right into it. So how are you going to structure your business in order to obtain business funding? So what does business funding look like? That's going to be, lines of credit, that can be a business credit card. So our goal here is to help you um, get the most amount of business credit available to you. And there's not necessarily like a 10-step process, but there is a process that most businesses do in the wrong order, in my opinion. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the order which I would do if I was consulting a client. So the first thing I would do is, and I would do all of this before structuring my LLC or my business entity. So the first thing I would do is get a business address. And the reason that I would do that first because a lot of entrepreneurs make the mistake of giving their home address as their business address. So once you create that business address, all your information becomes public file. So anyone can Google it, anyone can find all your information online. So it's going to be essential to make your business address different from your personal residence. Obviously, for privacy, for things like number one would be privacy. Number two, you're going to give your business a more legitimate look. So a couple options that you could use, some things that I personally use, you could get a virtual address to substitute as your business address. So you don't necessarily, have to put the home down and they can go on Google and hit Street View and they can see that you live in a house. Now, if you have children that, the privacy issue comes into play, but it's going to make your business look a little more legitimate to the banks. And when they run your data points, you're more likely to get approval than denial. So there's obviously hundreds of options you could use. I personally use a virtual mailbox called Anytime Mailbox. But there's one called Opus, there's Regis you could use. There's multiple resources you could use. So what does a virtual address look like, Rach? So imagine a corporate building and they have individual suites. So you'll get the ability to rent out that suite and receive mail in that corporate building. So for example, I think I'm suite 66D for my virtual address. So that means all my business correspondence go to this corporate building to suite 66D. All right. So the next question a lot of people ask is, well, how do I get my mail? There's a couple ways. For me, I have the option to have my mail forwarded or scanned. I can have it shredded if it's junk, or I can go to the physical location and pick it up. So my headquarters is in Los Angeles, California. I've never even been there. But when I do need a correspondence, I'll either have them forward it to, a home address or whatever address I'm at currently. And then I'll also, give them the option to either shred or scan it, depending on what it is. So that will be my first step. Step one, get a business address. use a virtual address. Number two, um, get a business phone number. So you want the goal behind this is to make your business look as legitimate as possible. So most businesses have a 1-800 number, but you could have a business with your local area code. So once again, remember, we're thinking about credible business. As I always say, get your affairs in order. And this is what I mean about getting your affairs in order, right? So these banks are going to run your data points. Even if I was to, run your business's name, I could most likely pull up your personal phone number, and all of this information is public record. So a couple options that are out there for you guys to use. VIPphone.com. There's a service called Grasshopper, and the one I personally use is Google Voice. So why do I use Google Voice? It's a little more seamless with the other applications that I use through Google. I'm familiar with Google Voice also. And for me, it was just being familiar with the platform. So I feel like it was easy to use and I didn't have to do a lot of additional thinking. All right, so we talked about business address, business phone number. The third one I would recommend is getting a business website. So you want to ensure that your business is connected properly. And, maybe you don't have a background in web development or maybe even the appropriate finances yet. But what we want to do, there's options out there. I know you use Fiverr H for different services. There's GoDaddy, there's Wix, but you want to have a website connected to, the brand name. I always say it doesn't really matter what your landing page looks like in the beginning, but you want to have a landing page. So you're starting a business and banks are running your data points and they go to a Facebook page. That's not really giving them a lot of credibility. So like I said, I would use, Wix or GoDaddy. You could hire a freelancer at on Fiverr. So those are just a couple options I'd like for everyone to think of. The fourth one, two, three, four, is have a business email. So you never want to connect your business email. You never want to connect your personal email to your business. We want to keep all of our personal data and information and assets separate from the business, and that includes your email. So you're going in to, get your business funding, and then you're writing down Kansas City Chiefs fan 619 at gmail.com. So it's just not a good look. And also, as you start to scale your business, and maybe you're going to be, contracted or subcontracted by a larger company or maybe by a government entity, it's just not a good look. And it just kind of doesn't show a credible business to have, Eagles fan 119 at hotmail.com. So there's a few email services. For me, I use the Google Suite, right? So Google's going to give you the ability to um, create a custom domain. So for example, if your business is, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, your name could be um, jsmith at richdadpoordad.com. So you're having a nice consistent email to go along with the address, phone number, and the website. And then additionally, in the suite of domains that Google might offer, and I'm just using Google as an example, you'll have the ability to create additional emails. So once you start to scale out and have, like an admin or a general counsel division, you'll be able to establish an email address for them. So when we talk about making our business look legitimate to banks, this is what I would recommend. You always want to have like a contact at thecompany.name.com, support, and that support could be support at companyname.com, or you could do admin, you could do info, but you want to have information section that is not directly connected to you. Okay, so now we got through all the basics of starting a business, but we haven't started a business yet. So we have three of the most important, really two of the most important things that you need to establish to get your business started. So number one is the articles of organization. So this is essentially the paperwork that makes your business an actual business. And then you can actually get this from directly from the state of, you could actually get this from the state Secretary of State's website. And this will be the most affordable way to do it. You'll pay, your Secretary of State filing fees and articles of organization fee. But you also can use services. There's plenty of services out there. I know you can use richcasual.com. You can use LegalZoom, but there's a abundance of resources out there to help you create your LLC. And then obviously there's going to be a fee that comes with providing those services. But if you can go, if you have the know-how or the acumen to do it yourself, you can go directly to your state's Secretary of State website and pay only the filing fee and whatever else the state offers. And then so your articles of organization is going to be a document that the banks are going to require. And then the second required document is going to be your EIN. So the second document, the EIN, stands for Employee Identification Number. That's essentially your, let's say, social security number for your business. This number is issued by the IRS to identify your business for tax purposes. And it takes about less than 5 minutes to apply. Now, you can do this directly on the IRS website, and it's 100% free. So there are services out there that do charge for your EIN, but this is something that is 100% free on the IRS website. This is something that we do at richcasual.com. We include this um, free service with starting your LLC. So that is going to be our topics that we use to structure our business funding. What I'm going to do now is share my page. I want to show you guys really quick our quick reference sheet. And this is going to help you understand exactly what this looks like. All right, so if you can see my screen, this is my how to structure your business to get the most funding quick reference sheet. So you'll see highlighted the topics we just talked about: getting your business address, getting your business phone number, a business website, a legitimate professional business email, your articles of organization, and your EIN. So if you can have this quick reference sheet printed out and follow these steps, this will give you the ability to have your business compliant, credible, legitimate, whatever word, whatever punchline keyword you want to use, and give you the ability to get the most funding available. All right. So, Rach, did you want to follow up on anything?
Yeah, I actually have a couple questions. That was really good. I was laughing at the get an email because I think so many of us have a inappropriate business email. But I had some questions for you. So let me just go through. So, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about business funding?
Well, the first one I would say is that you don't necessarily need a personal guarantee for your business credit. So a personal guarantee is essentially like a credit check on your personal credit for the business side. So you're essentially a co-signer. So there are a lot of, companies that don't require a personal guarantee, But most big financial institutions, when we think of like JP Morgan Chase or a Navy Federal, American Express, Bank of America, they're gonna actually personal guarantee you, you're essentially a co-signer. So what are the pros and the cons of that? The cons are maybe, your credit score may take a 2 point hit. I was telling a client this yesterday. It'll drop by 2 points and it'll stay on your credit for 2 years that you had a hard pull. But the pros are you may get access to 10, 20, $30,000 in business capital to help you scale. So I personally think, that's a good trade-off. A 2 point hit on your personal credit for $50,000 in business credit. And then the other pro is that this $50,000 line of credit does not report to your personal credit. It's going to report to your business credit. So what that means is you won't have any revolving $50,000 credit on your personal credit report.
Awesome. Okay. So you had shared, just obviously starting a foundation, like creating a solid foundation for your business, really even just seeing it as a legitimate business. So everything from, excuse me, your business name to a business phone number to, you mentioned an admin or a virtual assistant, getting a website, getting a mailing address. I think that's really important. Excuse me, that how you mentioned, it is public record. And so if you don't have a business address and, now there's so many options for that. So like virtual addresses and stuff like that. So you've created the foundation. You are now, you're looking and probably feeling a little bit more like a business. You're legitimate. And one thing that I just asked was like misconceptions of business funding. And you mentioned like a line of credit. What is the difference between someone getting a line of credit? So, would you say that? I guess I'll ask two questions. Number one, what is the difference between a line of credit and getting like a business credit card or business credit?
That's a great question. So a business credit card is essentially a loan with a predetermined amount that you can spend. So for example, we get $1,000 business credit. We can't exceed that $1,000. Now, all interest is going to be um, accrued against that $1,000, right? So I go out and I buy supplies for 500 and then I pay off that 500. Now I'm back to my 1,000. Now, I think I said that wrong, but okay. So let me start with the business line of credit. So your business line of credit, you can use and reuse multiple times. So you get a $10,000 business line of credit. It essentially refills itself. So I can take it all the way down to zero. And once I pay it off, it goes back to 10,000. So the business line of credit gives you a little more flexibility. So you can, pay payroll. You can, get supplies or pay contractors. Also, with the business line of credit is it's essentially cash. So when you draw from that business line of credit, you can send it directly to your checking account. Where with the credit card, typically the credit card is going to have a lot of higher fees if you do a cash advance, maybe up to 30%. And your credit card, you're typically swiping for various reasons. You can use it for various things, but typically it's used to make like in-person purchases, if that makes sense.
And so my part two question of that is, do you find that typically for a new business starting out, so you're just a brand new business, you've just set up the foundation and you are wanting to um, start growing your business, and we know that that can take an investment. Just again, you have to start spending money to make money. So when you're starting out your business, do you versus scaling, do you think that when you're just starting out your business, you've just set up all of those things, how do you determine whether you should get a business credit card or should you get a business line of credit? Is that dependent on, you mentioned if you are going to have payroll, if it's a small startup, and by small, I mean maybe you're starting a little lemonade stand versus you're opening a hair salon that would have a higher overhead. How does one determine whether they should get just a business credit, just a credit card, just business line of credit, or both options?
I would say get both, especially it doesn't hurt to have a business line of credit because if you don't draw from that business line of credit, you're not paying any annual fees or any initiation fee. So unlike a credit card, typically, even if I do have a Chase for Business credit card and I don't use it for a year, there may be an annual fee involved with it. So as you guys know, I have the American Express Platinum, 695 annual fee. Even if I don't use the card all year, I still pay that 695 annual fee. Now, with the line of credit I have for business, if I don't draw from it, I don't pay anything. So I would say get both. Obviously, we want to be responsible with them. Obviously, you want to watch the business credit video and that I've done in the past. But I would say, it doesn't hurt to have both. You also want to have multiple business credit sources. So I was counting yesterday, I have 7 sources of business credit, not including the business line of credit. So, what does that look like? Why do you have so many? Well, I was telling Ava yesterday, some places I go won't take American Express. Some places that I go and I need to make a large purchase over $5,000, it makes sense to use the American Express Platinum because I'll get double points, right? So I'm going to get, a 2x multiplier. Some places it makes sense to, use like the Chase for Business at Lowe's and Home Depot because of the multiplier I'm getting. So it does make sense to have multiple lines of business credit just to give your business a little more flexibility. And you don't have to rely on, your personal bank account, borrowing from Auntie Rachel again. So that's it. That's what I would recommend.
So good. And I love how you shared, to go back to the business credit or the credit call, the credit just all over call that we did. There is a recording in the school community, which I would highly suggest everybody go listen. And one of the biggest things in that was just really making sure your goals are defined, because I think it also goes to the business funding, is you got to know what your goals are. So like you mentioned, um, having multiple and not being limited to one source of funding. Because again, what if you have to go stock up at Restaurant Depot and you only have an American Express, but they only take Visa? Then what do you do at that point, right? You're then having to use your personal checking account, or, again, you're not allocating funds from the right place. And so I think the goal is really important. And one thing on that credit call that you mentioned was, always start with a business or a bank that you already have a relationship with. So, with that, what do you suggest if I have a relationship with a credit union? I go to apply for a line of credit and I'm denied for whatever reason. Do you suggest, like, what would you suggest to somebody that has been denied, a line of credit or a credit card from their personal bank? Is there, um, what would someone do in that situation?
So the first step I would do is I would get clarity on why I got denied. So maybe I have a low personal credit score. Maybe, my banking is kind of sketchy, right? So I would get clarity on why I got denied. The second option you could do is you could do a secured credit card. So a secured business credit card is where you put in $1,000 and now you get issued a credit card, business credit card for $1,000. And usually after like 12 to 18 billing cycles, you'll get that $1,000 back in return. And now your credit card becomes unsecured, meaning that your credit card is not um, bound by the $1,000 you deposited. So it's all about relationship building. The first step, like you said, you already have a relationship with that bank. I would open up a business checking account. And if the minimum is 1,000, I would put 1,000 in there for 30 days. And then I would open up my business checking account. I mean, my business credit card.
And for a business checking account, you do need an EIN. You wouldn't be using your own personal social security.
So they will most likely run your personal social security just for identification purposes. But yes, you will need your EIN and most likely your articles of organization to open your business checking account. And the way business checking accounts kind of differ from a personal checking account, in a business checking account, you might be required to have a minimum balance of, let's say, $2,000 in order to avoid like a $15, $20 service fee. So that doesn't mean that, oh, well, I only average 1,800 a month. Well, that means that you'll be required to pay like a service fee. So that's one of the big differences between your personal banking and your business banking. There's typically a service fee involved on the business side if you don't meet the minimum threshold of uh, deposits, or should I say balance.
So another question I have is something that you had mentioned. We'll go back to the beginning of the call, and we were talking about websites. And for a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, what I think they don't, I think what you realize quickly, but you might not realize in the beginning, is how many roles of a business you will be. So, for example, in my UGC business, my content creation business, I am the creator, I'm the makeup artist, I'm the hairstylist, I am the stylist, I am the editor, I am the script writer, I am a lot of roles. I am the admin. I have to do invoices, and there's a lot of roles. And so when you were talking about the website, you mentioned, outsourcing to other freelancers. So Fiverr, there's Wix, there's GoDaddy, there's all of these things. And, Fiverr is a platform where you would be hiring someone to do those roles for you. And so my question to you is, um, outsourcing is very important. And I think that a lot of small businesses have a very hard time with outsourcing because maybe at this point they're not making a lot of money to justify having it outsourced. What were some of the things that you've outsourced? And, one thing I know that you always tell me is that there's going to be certain skills that you want to develop upon. And then there's going to be others where it's just not your lane and it's not something you even need to get better at. So that could be admin, that could be social media managing, that could be um, accounting or your taxes and things like that. So, what would you like? What has made the most impact for you to outsource in your business? And what was your mindset around like outsourcing those things?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, it was outsourcing, things like taxes and even any conversation regarding taxes is something that's going to be outsourced. So for me, it was building a team. And when I say building a team, it's getting experts in your particular industry who are willing to, be that resource for you. So anything tax related, anything trademark or patent related, even administrative duties, right? For in on the starter, you could use a service like Fiverr or get, a virtual assistant. I know you're familiar with that. And my mindset behind that was, by paying people to do or partnering up with other people who have better abilities, it can free up my time and give me the ability to focus on the areas that I'm great at. But I also want to highlight that, as a business owner, you don't always want to just contract out the services that you're not good at. You want to contract the services that you are good at too, because you want to hire people who do your job better than you. And then you can actually free up more time and give you the ability to focus on other areas. So I always say my mindset behind it is in the beginning, hire people who are better than you, or should I say, create partnerships and relationships with people who are better than you at certain things. And, you want to be able to free up your time because no one wants to be stuck behind a desk unless you want to be stuck behind a desk.
Yeah, that's really good. And we have so a little secret or little hint that we can share with you guys, as he mentioned, a tax team. So we actually have a very special guest speaker this Thursday for our mastermind or master class. And we also have a freelance advocate coming on. She is somebody who advocates for unpaid invoices. So as a freelancer, there will be, prayerfully not, but there could be times where somebody is late on their invoice, and it's just nice to, again, I can send demand letters all day long, but there's just something nice about just going, you know what, you take care of that, and while you're giving that, because that's your skill set, I can give my energy to something else that is needed at this time. And I had another question, but it's just kind of
And
slipping
let me
me.
hop in there real quick. So for the beginner who is just starting up their business, or maybe you've been operating for a few years and you're still in that, new phase, you could always use applications like ChatGPT to help you draft letters, to help you respond to emails, right? To give you a head start in your business correspondence. Now, will I say completely have your email copy and paste it from ChatGPT? Probably not, because it kind of sounds robotic, but you can have it give you a head start, right? And you could start with the prompt is you're an executive assistant for a large consulting firm that focuses in the area of nonprofit funding. Draft me and you can start your prompt that way. But I do like, ChatGPT as a resource to help you get started.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing. Like I use it for, and it'll tell you, like, I'm not a lawyer, but I do have it read over a lot of my contracts as I was building, and again, it was a new industry I was in. And I am familiar with legal contracts because I did use them or read them in my corporate job for many years for um, leases and things like that. So it's definitely something that it's such a good tool, but I would definitely say humanize it, like you said, is that without even realizing it. And, even for me I work with brands, and when you send them a script, like you can tell when somebody is sending one that's like, you didn't put any effort into it. You just asked it to write it for you. You did it. And that's, it's not sharing the personal experience. So, um, that's really good. I still can't remember the other question that I was going to ask you. So let me think on it real quick.
Well, only you would know.
I know, and it slipped me. I was going to say it and then it slipped me. So I was talking about outsourcing, which I think is really good. Um, I don't remember.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
How has business funding changed your life?
Oh, many, many ways. So I think one of the biggest is just like you were saying, is it can allow you to scale faster. I think a lot of times, I'll just give a personal example is learning to know when to invest in yourself, and knowing that, again, I think we want results right now and we don't realize the ROI, which is a return on investment. And I think that for I'll just speak for like a lot of entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, is that you come into the space and it's really hard to know that, I might need to spend 500 today and I might not see the return on that, but I will see the return. And so I'll just give like an example is in my creator community, um, a couple of the girls were sharing how right now we're all this in discussion. We've been using a virtual assistant to do pitching for us. And the business has changed their structure and they are requiring a one-time payment. It is a one-time payment that gives you annual pitching. And, one thing is like a lot of people are like, I don't know, I can't, and I'll just throw out a number, but like, I can't spend $500 to do that. Like, that seems like a lot of money. But then on the flip side, we'll go buy shoes or we'll go get your hair done or you'll get your nails. And sometimes we just don't realize that, because again, when you get your nails done, you've got that dopamine, you got the like, they're done right there, it's that instant gratification, and sometimes it's the delay. So whether that be hiring a virtual assistant, hiring somebody to do your website, hiring those things, you don't see it right away, and sometimes it's really hard or challenging to shift your mindset to like, I gotta just put a little bit in now. So, like, again, business funding can allow you to hire somebody to do the website or even get a website in place. Like, if you are not doing those things or hiring a virtual assistant or just doing things that are going to, in the larger scale of things, the bigger vision for you and your business, going to help you grow your business, that is where business funding can come in. And I think, like you said, like, asking Auntie Rach again. Like, there's a lot of caps that come in, and it could be mental caps, it could be financial caps. And so just again, business is relationship. You talked a lot about relationship building. Like, the bank that already knows who you are, go open a business bank account and go start building
Yep.
that relationship. And again, it's like, you want to go to a conference that's going to help you grow your business, but maybe your personal checking account isn't going to allow for it. Well, one, it's a business expense. You shouldn't be using your personal checking. So let's use our business checking. Let's keep the receipts, because that's a write off for your, your taxes come tax time. And it's a business expense. So I would just say a shift, like, it's a shift in mindset. It allows you to scale your business. It allows you to invest in your business. It allows you to operate as a business, which I know you talked about in your steps, is like really operating as a business. And so business funding is just, again, it's really allowed me to scale my businesses in ways that I probably wouldn't have been able to had I relied on my personal funding to do the job.
And one thing I'll just double down real quick. And one thing that it's really going to take is discipline and responsibility. Because, some of you are that are watching this video, you're going to get 50, 60, 100K in business credit, whether that's a line of credit or a credit card. And why I say it takes responsibility, because now your wish has been answered. And, when you have a business credit card, you can actually buy anything with it. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to buy only business purchases. So that's why I say it takes some responsibility to have access to that cash. And you guys will hear me emphasize all the time is get your affairs in order. You know, we always talk about the lifestyle analysis, because as your business starts to scale, and next thing you know, in the mail, you have a Chase credit card with $100,000 limit. Now you can always buy that purse that you wanted. But it's really going to take that discipline to tell you to, like Rachel said, delay in the gratification, knowing that by myself investing in my business, it might allow me to buy a portion of stocks of the purse company instead of just the individual bag. So with that being said, you guys, we're gonna wrap up. You want to close us out, Rach? Add anything else? Send us home.
Yeah, so super excited. We will see you guys on Thursday. We do have a guest speaker Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, again, any type of business that you have, you definitely want to tap in, because you might be quite shocked at the write offs that are available as business owners. We also have our school community. Make sure you guys tap in. You can book a discovery call at richcasual.com, and we will post the school community link as well. We do have live calls every Tuesday and Thursday that you have access to the recordings. So we are excited to watch you guys scale your business, and we will see you guys on Thursday.
Bye.